Welcome back, everybody, to the Comic-Con Podcast, Season 2, Episode 47. We're recording this on the 1st of December, man. It's crazy to think we're already in December. And like always, the Dream Team, Milton the Manimal, Nemesis Prime, here to give you all the news on all the topics, always correct. What's up, Justin?
It is a plentiful news day on the Comic-Con Podcast. Reviews, trailer drops, tons of news to do this. So we're going to get right into it. Zach, how are we going to start this show?
Yeah, man, we're going to get right into comics. We usually don't do comics first, which is, I don't know why. It just kind of seems like we don't. But we are today. So you guys are in for a treat. So if you are paying attention to DC Comics right now, you should be reading the Infinite Crisis or Dark Crisis of Infinite Earths. The Justin would know, probably the 9th crisis that's occurred in the DC universe at this point. But obviously, we all know DC uses these crises, and from this point forward, they kind of like revamp, redo, relaunch kind of their series. So they announced a bunch of new titles coming out, which are pretty interesting. They're calling it a line-wide multi-event narrative initiative, which is kind of contradictory, but oh well. In addition to bold new directions for a variety of current series starring Batman, Superman, Nightwing, Harley Quinn, and Poison Ivy, there will be 20 new titles about specific superheroes and superhero teams. So this is going to be the from dusk to dawn, the dawn of DC is what they're kind of calling this new era. It definitely has very New 52 vibes to me. But so here's some of the highlighted titles. We got a new Superman title, but it's going to be Clark Kent back as Superman in this, taking over from his son, Jonathan Kent. But don't be afraid. If you're a big John Kent fan, you will have Adventures of Superman John Kent. We also will be having Unstoppable Doom Patrol, which I feel like Doom Patrol has not had an ongoing title in a long time.
No, they only had that young, what was it, like Young Animals? Or like that, there was like that little imprint.
Oh, yeah. God, that didn't last very long, did it?
Yeah, like Gerard Way did it.
Yeah. Then we got Superboy Man of Tomorrow, which is going to be Connor Kent, Superboy. We got Green Lantern Hal Jordan and Green Lantern John Stewart. So 2 Green Lantern titles. Nice to see Hal Jordan kind of come back to the forefront as well. We got a Green Arrow, which is going to focus obviously on Oliver Queen and probably some of his supporting cast. Batman the Brave and the Bold will be returning. Multiple artists, variety of artists and writers on that one. Cyborg will be getting his own title again, coming back. Shazam. Here's a really interesting one. The Penguin will be coming back with his own solo title, which is very interesting because they fake killed him in like the recent Batman storyline, right? And he's still alive, but he kind of had like retired, right? That was kind of his thing. So it says he's going to be forced back into organized crime by the U.S. government. So whatever. That could be kind of interesting though. Tom King writing that one. Actually, I think I might pick that one up. That sounds really interesting. And then Steelworks, John Henry Irons is coming back with his own solo title. So those are kind of the ones they announced right now. There should be a lot more. The Dawn of DC is going to begin in Action Comics 1051. It's a 3-part anthology about the modern Superman family with a look at the childhood of John Kent and Power Girl. So, Justin, as our resident DC expert, thoughts on this?
I think it's a great thing that they need to do to revamp for 2023. Right. Obviously, they're picking a lot of titles that are not only in the current like live action, because obviously you have Doom Patrol, you have the Penguin coming out as far as like a spinoff of the Batman, so I get that. I do like Green Arrow coming back because now they're saying it's kind of going to be back to more street grounded for him, which is nice after he's been lost in that whole Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I don't really like his role ever when he's in Justice League either. You know what I mean? Like he's better as like a street level alone type character.
Yeah, that whole New 52 Jeff Lemire run was amazing with him.
Yeah, it was good.
Like I love the New 52 Green Arrow.
He was in Seattle or whatever.
Oh yeah, it was so badass.
Yeah, it was good.
And definitely, the Batman, the Brave and the Bold, like that's really going to be an interesting title because it's going to have, different heroes, different writers, and different artists, going through. And that's something that Brave and the Bold was always about, like back in the 60s and 70s when it came out. Like every issue was something different. Obviously throughout the Brave and the Bold's history, you had tons of first appearances. So I like how they're going to be doing different stories. So it's not just like, if you get it, there's, always going to be like, it's always going to be Batman or it's always going to be the Justice League. Like,
right.
I think it'll bring like different DC heroes and heroines to the forefront that you haven't seen in a while, which is always nice because obviously some people can't run their own title. So we'll go that route.
What are the other ones? So the Penguin you talked about. What's your thoughts on the Steelworks, the John Henry Irons
It's
Steel?
interesting. Yeah, they just in time for his 30th anniversary, they talk about it, and I think he's been used here and there, right? Like we've
A
seen
lot in
him.
DC versus Vampires. He's pretty
Oh
prominent in
yeah,
that
yeah,
right now. Yeah.
he's definitely the main character in that. Obviously, if you watch like the Superman Reign of Superman, like I guess, but like it's probably going back like 2 years. Obviously, like he was a big part of that whole thing between like obviously the comics in the '90s and then also like the animated series, and we even saw
Right.
him in like Justice League Unlimited. But he's a cool character. I think he's like someone who's underrated as far as when those different Supermen came out in the '90s.
Yeah.
I really like that. And then Shazam's going to be interesting because again, that's prominent for the movie. It's going to be written by Mark Waid, and Mark Waid's no like famous from like writing DC stuff. And of course, the art, Dan Mora, man, and we all know Dan Mora from Once and
Once in the
Future. So
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm excited. I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, the other thing about the Steel one is they're bringing back the niece that they introduced, Natasha, in God, what
Mm-hmm.
was the most was it young not the most recent Young Justice, but it was like right before that. It was some Young Justice title that she showed up in, and it felt like they were going to do a lot with her, but then they never did, and she's kind of disappeared since then. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see for 2023. So at least it starts, they're starting it off right, obviously, and there's still the normal titles like Nightwing's continuing,
right.
Wonder Woman, obviously Batman, even Poison Ivy like is now like an ongoing as well. The Batgirls, they haven't really said like what's kind of stopping. So
It'll
you
be
know,
interesting to see. I mean, it's good. I think DC is one of those universes that kind of needs to always do these like let's call them soft reboots, not reboots, soft relaunches. Where they have their characters have so much history, man, that you do have to have kind of like a not so much a starting over point, but a jumping off point, so that other people can get on. So,
yeah, no, I like the idea, and
yeah,
it's not like they're revamping everybody. It's
right,
titles and characters that need a push for 2023 because of the fact they are becoming live action or streaming services. Like it gets more people involved, and because obviously some of these characters are around since the 70s and nobody really knows not really knows about them too much. Like Doom Patrol, Shazam has always been like, if you really haven't been reading Shazam, what, like maybe since like New 52 Justice League, like that's really where he became a prominent
yeah,
player.
and those are good
So
ones. That was the Jeff Johns stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think and so we talked about Infinite Crisis or Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then they also have this Lazarus Planet is the next event after that. So some of these titles will be coming after Lazarus Planet as well. So that's kind of like a big DC event. They're going like back to back on DC events, and then we launch into Dawn of DC. So
Mhm.
should be interesting, man. Should be good stuff. So moving on from comic book news. Here we go. Justin's been sitting over there with a fucking boner as we're getting ready to talk about Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
Oh my
So,
God, man.
Justin, take us away, man. This is your
Well,
shit.
today has just been a plethora of trailers that were dropping. The first that dropped early this morning, of course, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. The next iteration in the Transformers movies is, of course, a sequel to the Bumblebee movie from 2018. It's the seventh movie in the Transformers film. I think it completely takes away everything that Michael Bay did, even though good, bad, love it, hate it, it's still Transformers. So for me, being, an 80s baby growing up, Nemesis Prime, um, man, this trailer was amazing. Like seeing the G1 Transformers, seeing the 90s Beast Wars in action, pretty amazing. Obviously bringing it back, and we always say it, Peter Cullen back as Optimus Prime, voicing him. You got Ron Perlman voicing Optimus Primal, which is pretty badass. And then there's just like a ton of other awesome Transformers. Bumblebee's back. You got Mirage showing up finally in that 91 Porsche. Like that's freaking awesome. RC's in there. So for all you Transformer movie, animated movie buffs, RC was prominent role in that. But even then, like the 90s guys and girls, like you got Air Razor, you get obviously Optimus Primal, Rhinox, you got Cheetor in there fighting the Terracons and the Predacons. Man, that ending battle was like pretty badass for this trailer, and I was like, out of nowhere, this trailer just dropped, and I'm super excited for this. It's coming out in June of 2023. You know, a lot of other humans, of course, because that's always like what they got to do. They got to bring in the humans, even though everyone's like, "Oh, just show me the Transformers. I don't care about anything
Just
else."
go to Cybertron, bro. All we need to
I
movie
know.
about Cybertron. That's it.
Like the best, realistically, I think after like after the movie, after Transformers, the movie is like really when they went to space more and like they got off of Earth. So a lot of the storylines in the G1 era were more, you know, in outer space. And then even like with Beast Wars in the 90s, like there was no humans because it was like prehistoric. So you got to really see just the Transformers like storylines and even the video games too, for the most part. Like the ones I think it was on like PS3 and PS4, maybe. There was like the rise of Cybertron, the fall of Cybertron. Like again, no humans, great storyline because all you want to see is Transformers fighting each other, transforming.
Yeah, who wants to play a Sam Witwicky in a video game, dude? You got like Optimus Prime and shit. Like, fuck that.
So true. But I'm excited, man. The only thing that I do know is that John Cena is actually coming back to play.
Yeah. He was in Bumblebee, right?
Yeah, so it's interesting because Bumblebee was in like the mid 80s. So this is obviously a couple of years later, but for the most part, everybody, all the humans, like the kids, they're all new. Like there's nobody that obviously Haley Steinfeld was in Bumblebee. And I can't think of the other kid's name who was also in Bumblebee, but you got a whole new cast. But obviously the most important stuff is keeping it true to the G1 look, which is something that we've always wanted, especially something that I've always wanted and the fans have always wanted. So right. I'm excited. What about you? I mean, I know you're not a huge Transformers guy, but
look, man, I've enjoyed. I say what you will about the Michael Bay stuff. I really enjoyed the Transformers movies. Are they clunky? Are they big productions and explosions and shit like that? Yeah, but they're fucking cool, man. They're robots that turn into cars that turn into robots, man. I mean, that shit's awesome. So, yeah. My only complaint ever about the Transformers is, you know, which is actually very similar to my main complaint about like X-Men movies, is the focus always on
talking
Optimus
about
Prime,
X-Men,
Bumblebee. No, like the same thing that X-Men has the problems. You know what I mean? Like they focus on these same characters, and you don't get awesome like backstories on like, you know, Mirage or Jazz or like, you know, characters that I really, really enjoy, even from like the cartoons and stuff. Like it's always Optimus Prime. It's always Bumblebee. So I don't know. I hope we move away from that and we actually get some other stuff. I love RC. I want to see more Mirage. I thought Mirage was in the third one as well.
No,
Mirage has never been in any of the live actions.
No, they haven't really had too many of the G1 characters in there. They've had like versions that look like them, but no, I mean,
yeah.
But like you said too, man, like you're not a big a fan, but like watching these movies is like growing up on this. Like me being an 80s guy, like I grew up on Transformers. Like I've watched the first one. Yeah. I remember the first one came out in theaters. I probably watched it at least like 7 or 8 times in theaters. Right?
I loved the first one. I still love the first one. Like it's a great movie.
I mean, that's even for like anybody who's like a fan of like G.I. Joe or any of that 80s stuff, like even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like when you first saw it, you saw it as a kid in cartoon, and now they're making it live action. So it like has a place in your heart. So like whenever they eventually do things, like even comic books, we talk about, obviously, you know, when they bring comic books to life, it may not be the best iteration, but it's still something that you love.
Right. Yeah, dude. No, I think it looks great. I'm not super familiar at all with Beast Wars, and I never watched that franchise. I really only watched, like you said, the 80s baby stuff, the original. And man, I mean, for what it is, I really enjoyed all the other ones. I mean, they're not going to win any awards, and I'm never going to say they're like the greatest franchise, but they're fucking awesome. So I'm pumped. It looks cool. That last battle, honestly, I kind of was like, that didn't even look like Earth. That looked like that might have been on like Cybertron. I wish they would do that, but
yeah, dude, I need to go back and watch Bumblebee. It's been a while since I've even watched actually the first one.
Yeah, I need to watch Bumblebee.
I'll have to do that. I'm just hoping.
I'm worried about you when something happens to Peter Cullen.
I know, and like Frank Welker. Bro. Yeah, I know, man. That's like we've been talking about this.
Yeah.
I probably should just go. I should just bite the bullet and just buy something graded that he signed. I don't even care if it's not even like a Transformers #1, like just so I have it. Because he really doesn't come to shows, and when he does, it's usually like Transformers conventions. And I don't really go to I don't go to TIFF-Con or there's another Transformers con. I can't think of the name of it, but like you don't ever see him at like Comic-Cons at all, and like the Wizard Worlds or any of that stuff. So
yeah, he's 81 years old, man.
Still doing it.
It's crazy. So cool stuff. Awesome. Check out that trailer if you haven't seen it already. Transformers: Rise of the Beast Wars, right? Rise of the Beast Wars.
Rise of the Beasts.
Right? Rise of the Beasts. Rise of the Beasts. Power is primal, dude. The Optimus Primal, the fucking gorilla, looked sick, dude. Like, it looked really awesome. That was really cool. So,
Oh yeah, it's I'm excited for it. I think they look just straight out of their CG iterations from the 90s. Like I said, Air Razor, like Cheetor, like when he's running the cheetah and then he just hops on like the hops on the rock and like turns and transforms. You're just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like I can't wait. I so can't wait for this.
So yeah, like Justin said, June 9th for the new Transformers movie. So moving on, we're gonna go into some. Well, should we do Marvel first, or do we want to do Star Wars first?
We got everything, man. We got reviews and news at the same time for these titles.
Let's knock out. Okay, let's do some Star Wars news, and then we're gonna get into Star Wars review. So, Justin, why don't you do the Star Wars news?
Yeah, so this is a big one. This is what we've all been waiting for. So over at StarWarsNews.net posted literally yesterday, the Acolyte show. We're finally getting information, and of course, what we kind of thought the Acolyte show was going to be, but the Acolyte show will have how the Sith infiltrated the Jedi Order, according to Daphne Keane. According to the cast member, the Disney Plus series Star Wars: The Acolyte will show how the Sith were able to lay the groundwork to subvert the Republic and conquer the Jedi over a century before the events of the Phantom Menace. Awesome, so as it says, I mean, this is quoted, I mean, as you know, it's set 100 years before the prequel movies, and it's kind of exploration of how the Sith infiltrated the Jedi. It's a Sith-led story which has never been done before. It's been really fun to film. The cast is amazing. The director and crew are just lovely. The whole experience is wonderful, and I'm pretty excited for people to see it. So now, what do we think is going to happen?
Man, okay, so if you're looking back, right? So we got High Republic, and we know kind of High Republic so far in the comics and stuff has had no Sith at all, really. No even like hint of the Sith. We've had a few like relics I think have showed up, right? Like the those statues or whatever. So you got to think, okay, so I mean we have Palpatine, right? And then before Palpatine, we have Plagueis, but it's like, who are we going to get? Like, there's got to be a Sith Lord, right? The Acolyte's some form of an Acolyte of the Sith, you would assume, right? That's the safe assumption. So who's the Lord? Like,
yeah.
That's
so
what I'm trying to think.
High Republic is what, 200 years before Phantom Menace,
and this is
100 years.
100 before. So
starts 100
towards the end of High Republic, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So my thing, obviously the biggest thing to do, but I don't know really how much it breaks canon, because they even talk about this in one of the Star Wars issues, is obviously bringing in Darth Bane. Okay. But the way Darth Bane is
rule of two type shit.
Yeah, the rule of two. But then that kind of little changes the Star Wars comic a little bit, because in Star Wars issue 20, we read about how Elzar Mann met with Luke and basically told him about Darth Bane, but that was prior even to him. And, even in Legends, like, it's really a long time ago. It's like thousands of years. So they can't do Darth Bane unless they change it, which is fine, because even Legends is not considered canon. So I don't know, man. I really want Darth Bane, but of course they're probably just going to give you brand new Sith Lords and apprentices. And maybe they'll lead up into like just prior to like the age of Darth Plagueis.
Yeah.
And maybe like his master is my guess.
So yeah, I'm looking at some info, like Darth Bane, millennium before the events of Phantom Menace. So you would have a couple guys after him. Before Plagueis was Darth Tenebrous, which I don't know if we have even much information on who he really was. He was Plagueis' master, so it will be him. And then
it's got to be, basically. I mean, they still got to keep to that
time frame. Would be about right, correct? Like you could have Tenebrous, and then you could have Plagueis, and then you could even kind of start showing like Plagueis like overthrowing Tenebrous and then kind of finding Palpatine. I mean, it would be very interesting to find the beginning of Palpatine. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I definitely want to see the startings of the whole infiltration. Like
Right.
literally, like they said, it's a Sith-led show.
Mhm.
Obviously, we get a little bit for the people that have watched Tales of the Jedi. Like we got to see the whole Dooku thing, like how he changed, and even
Right.
like,
Which was awesome.
I keep watching that series, and it's just like every time I watch it, I pick up more things, and I think I'm like, oh man, like this is really like a turning point. Like, and you just there's like little hints that that Filoni threw in there that really revert back to like the movies, the prequels, and Clone Wars, and just like, damn, he like did such a great job on it. Like that's why I love Dooku. And like you said the same thing,
Yeah.
like you love the Dooku stories. And even my friend just texted me yesterday. He's like, oh my God, he's like, Tales of the Jedi was awesome. I was like, well, you're late to the party, man. But yes, we could talk about this now.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see the fall of a character. Obviously, Palpatine would be different than Dooku because Dooku started off good as a Jedi, but like what set Palpatine on his like path is very interesting to me. And like you say, it's supposed to be the beginning of the Sith like overtaking the Republic. Well, so okay, was that Plagueis' idea? Did he like kind of say, "Hey, Palpatine, we're going to get you into politics. We're going to kind of start pushing you in those power positions and get you there." Like I think that would be extremely interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, definitely.
yeah,
I'm
dude.
excited.
Yeah, and like it's kind of fun not knowing what it's going to be about. It's kind of fun being like, who knows what the hell they're going to go, which route they're going to go. So, but yeah, so Acolyte, do we have a date on that? When's that come out?
Nothing
Very
yet.
late 2023 or early 2024, according to StarWarsNet.com. So should be a while, but hopefully we'll get some more information this next year. Season 3 of Comic Con Podcast will probably be talking about the Acolyte for sure. Some more.
Yep.
So Star Wars themed. Moving on, we are getting into our Andor review.
Oh,
So yeah, go.
before that, there's also, of course, the CCXP that's going on this weekend, which is the Comic Con experience down in Sao Paulo. And then we also have some Mandalorian news. So, Mandalorian, they just dropped an extended trailer, which it's not online yet. That we do have a date, March 1st of 2023. But we do get to see some interesting extended stuff from the trailer that we haven't really got a trailer. Have we got a trailer? I can't remember. Did we get one, or we've kind of just seen like the bootleg ones? I can't remember.
Yeah, dude, I can't remember at this point either. Actually,
I think they showed one at Star Wars Celebration.
I thought, and I feel like there was a lot of Bo-Katan, right? Like,
Yes. So
yeah.
there's the extended. So this extended one is still a lot of the footage that we've already seen, but some additional things that we do get to see in this are basically a little bit more of the monkey lizards that you've seen in the trailer. We also do have Mando knowing that he can like remove his helmet. Obviously, like what's going on with that. But we also see some new action sequences featuring multiple Mandalorians. And also, it looks like Din Djarin and Grogu on Coruscant, which
Ooh,
that's
crazy.
really interesting. Like post Return of the Jedi, like what is Coruscant going on?
Yeah,
like
what
these
is
days?
Coruscant like? That's I've never really thought about that. Because
Yeah.
we never really, even in like the sequel trilogy, they never went back to Coruscant, did they?
No, we have never seen Coruscant at all after, like
Hope
what?
it's a shithole, bro. Hope it's a shithole. That's what they get, dude.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy because you figure like Coruscant during the time of like the Jedi was we've seen it in Clone Wars, and most of the time after that it was obviously with the clones and stormtroopers, the Empire led. So now that the Empire's gone, like what is Coruscant like? Like who's the leaders? You get to see the new age of the Republic. So
was the epicenter of the galaxy for a time. So
yeah,
wonder what it is now.
Yeah, so maybe with this, and I think maybe the reintroduction of Coruscant, we could see maybe some shows spinning out of that. Like, we have the Jude Law show coming out, so maybe a little crossover there. You never know.
We were talking offline before we started the show, and we were saying about how Mandalorian comes out in March, right? And you were like, "What happens in between?" I'm looking right now; they got a premiere date for Bad Batch 2 is January 4th.
Ah, there we go.
So to answer your question, you get a little Bad Batch before you get a little Mando. So that'll hold you off, dude. I don't want you to go on like a bender or something and have to watch Rebels for like the 20th time or something. So, but no, dude, I'm excited for Mando. Season 3 will be season 3, right? It's so misleading because you think about Boba Fett was almost like season 3, or it was like season 2.5. So
yeah. So Speaking of shows such as Book of
Yes.
Boba Fett, let's get into
Sure.
this. Andor, man. 12 episodes, the first Disney Plus Star Wars show that went more than 8 episodes,
Mhm.
more than Obi-Wan, more than Boba Fett, more than The Mandalorian. We get Cassian Andor back as the rebel spy that we've seen in Rogue One years before the making of the Death Star, and his rise from being a deserter to part of the rebellion, which we'll see more in season 2. So why don't you lead us off with your thoughts of this show, man?
So there's been I feel like I didn't realize this until kind of recently. I've read some articles like some backlash on this show. I guess there was people who haven't cared for it that much. And that was very surprising to me because I very much liked the show. I thought it was really awesome. Um, I really liked the fact that we were seeing it's kind of what we just talked about with the Acolyte, right? It's this how did the empire become the empire? And like so, but we're seeing how did the rebellion start? Like
Mm-hmm.
we get a new hope and we get Rogue One, and it's like the rebellion's already there. Like, yeah, but how did it start, man? And like if you think about a rebellion in like a society where it's so oppressive, think about what courage it would take to be that first person because you have to start off by yourself, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know who to trust. Like the stuff with Mon Mothma and Luther, they don't know who to trust. Any person they talk to could be a spy, could rat them out. It's not like the rebellion exists. You don't have 50 cohorts already got your back. You're literally you and maybe two other people. And I found that to be extremely interesting and like just gripping. Um, I think maybe if I were to say one thing that like kind of turned me off about this show a little bit was I loved the 12 episodes, but there were some episodes that dragged. There was arcs that were really cool, like the heist arc was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of the prison arc I thought was kind of lame, and then I don't know. I wasn't crazy with like the development of Cassian. I'm hoping for season 2 to just blow it out of the water. But all in all, might be my favorite Star Wars show.
Mm-hmm.
You?
Yeah. Well, so to kind of bounce off of you,
Yeah.
I definitely think that even though this is the fourth show on Disney Plus, that's the name of the character, right? Because we have
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, Boba
Right.
Fett, like Mando and Andor now.
Yeah. What the fuck? Dude?
This really, I know people don't think about that, but you're like, now that I just said it out loud, you're like, oh wow, every Disney Plus show has been,
And we're gonna get your girl,
and then Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Like they don't really have like the only show that was in announcements like years ago was that what was it, the Republic, the new
Oh, the fighter pilot one.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I swear, like Andor, like Cassian, like this first season is not him.
No,
Like
not really.
it's Mon Mothma, it's Lutheran, like it's just everybody around him, and it was just such an amazing season. Yeah, there was a little dragging parts. It's a slow burn,
Mhm.
but everybody, like even his mom, like Marva, like the guy who plays kind of like his brother, like Brosco, like
Right.
everybody has their own role. Like all the thieves that have their roles in the beginning season, but everybody played an amazing part. The introduction of Andy Serkis's character, Kino, like
Yeah, but I wanted more of him, man.
oh,
Maybe
dude,
he'll
it was
show
just
back up,
so
Who
much.
knows?
Like
You never
there's
saw him
just so
die,
much.
so who knows?
People are like, oh, they're speculating that he becomes Snoke because he is Snoke
Right.
later on. Like, like it's crazy.
What's
But-
what's that path from Kino to Snoke?
I don't
He
know,
couldn't
but-
swim, so he became Snoke.
But yeah, there's so many great lines in this movie, and even like Forrest Whitaker coming back as Saul Guerrero, because Saul's
Yes.
someone who's we've seen in Clone Wars to Rebels to this to Rogue One to Jedi Fallen Order. Like he's a prominent role. Like he is, we've talked about this in like his role and even Bad Batch. Like he is that like crazy, rebellion, but he is like an extremist. Like that's what he is.
Like a militant. Yeah.
Yeah. So like they're always like they know he's against the Empire, but they can't trust him because he's just like a firecracker.
Right.
And there's just so many scenes in these episodes, like the one episode where Lutheran meets that guy, and just has like that amazing speech about like just like what he's given up and what he's,
Oh,
losing.
the
And
spy guy for the ISB, right? Yeah.
yeah, there's just so much things that are happening.
Yeah.
Kino has his like lines in this that are just amazing and they hit you right in the feels. Obviously his mother's quote at the end with the funeral. And you know what's crazy? Like I rewatched that final episode, and even though like it's the start of the rebellion and it's something that you've always wanted to see, because obviously there's no Jedi, there's no Sith, there's
Right.
nothing about the Force. Like they don't mention anything. Like Cassian doesn't fight at all in that final episode. Like,
Nah, he doesn't do much except run the whole season.
yeah. So, and I mean, Tony Gilroy, the creator of, obviously, he did the Rogue One, and he did this. Like he came out and said that season 2 is going to be completely different than season 1. But still, man, listen, 95 plus percent, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, and people are naming it like the best show. And I've seen the memes like shitting on Mando, shitting on Book of Boba Fett. Like it's the truth. Like you may not like this because it's not Jedi or Sith related, but this was a great show.
It was.
Obviously at times it really made me think of like, obviously when like the prisons, like it's like watching The Wire, like any
Right.
any like prison movie, like
Or Prison
like
Break.
that.
I thought about Prison Break a lot.
Anything like that. Like what's the one with like The Rock, like with Sean Connery, like all that stuff that involves those type of things. We said it when we talked about this really early. Like it's spy, it's espionage, it's like a heist. Like this is just an amazing show, and I don't think like people are really gonna enjoy it until like season 2 comes out.
But. Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think that's so my two problems with it, or not two problems, but like the one thing about Andor is I definitely feel like he was strong in the beginning 4 or 5 episodes, right? And then obviously they needed to move on and kind of tell Mon Mothma's story and Luthen's story and like different people's story. And then the prison scene, it was cool in a way, but honestly, I didn't feel like it was like, okay, what do we do with Andor? So let's have him go here for a while. It was like they put him there to kind of keep him out of the way. But what did it really do for his character? I didn't feel like it moved his character or changed his character at all. So that kind of bugged me. And then the other character I really like just didn't understand, bro, is the deputy inspector, Cyril. Like that guy seemed pointless as shit.
Oh, yes.
He seemed like he was going to be really important in the beginning, and it was going to be like, oh, I'm chasing Andor, but even that, like his purpose, like, so Andor kills some guy in episode 1, and then this dude's just like
obsessed,
really pissed off about it. Like, okay, like I get it. Yeah, you can't kill people, but like that wasn't your friend. You didn't really know that guy. Like his like obsession made no sense to me. And then like all the scenes of him sitting in his fucking mom's house, like that shit was stupid. Like, I don't know. That character, I don't know.
That a story arc between him and that girl. Deidre, whatever. The
ISB.
The Imperial officer or whatever. Like that whole like trying to be like a love connection, like which they, it was just like I don't really get this, but some things that are really cool that they threw in there. Obviously, anytime like Lutheran's in his like his workshop, like all the Easter eggs for everything, like everything from like Star Killer armor, from what the hell's that game called? Shit, the Star Wars Force.
Force Unleashed.
Yeah, Force Unleashed. Like everything. You see stuff from like the Gungans. You see like the headpiece from like Queen Amidala. Like things that are so prominent. And like you see holocrons in the background, which is amazing.
Right.
But then even like the guy that who's in the prison with him is also a rebel in Rogue One.
The one who escapes with him?
Yeah.
Is like he? Okay.
Yeah, later on, he is actually one of the guys that goes to him to Scarif.
Oh, cool. That is cool.
So like that's like an awesome in a way like a throwback, but also like he will eventually become part of the rebellion.
So I kind of thought that's the way it was going to go with like the prison break, right? Like that's actually kind of was like, okay, so this prison break might amount to something, because I figured maybe all these guys who escape with Andor will like, they're pissed off. They were like wronged. And so they might actually become like, the ground floor of the rebellion. And maybe we see that because we don't know what happened to all those dudes. They all split up, right? Some might have got off. We might see, what's his name again? Kino. We might see Kino again. We don't know. They never mentioned if he drowned or what, So, Yeah, dude, I think it was really, really good. I enjoyed it. It's tricky, when you were talking about Luthen's shop, and then the other thing that's like was really cool is his spaceship, obviously, right? So I always find these shows to be really it's tough because you have the original trilogy, right? And it's so old, like the 70s or whatever it came out. And so now anytime you do something, it's the problem that you had like with the prequels, like, okay, well, we have better advancement in special effects and stuff. And so it makes everything in the original trilogy look so shitty because they got to still make things look cool. Like his ship having that like light beam, like almost lightsaber thing was awesome. It was so cool. But it was like, where's that? Why didn't Luke or the Rebellion have anything cool like that later? They just have
Oh, you're saying like when he gets trapped by the tractor beam,
right,
and then like
yeah.
he shoots out all those like darts at like the tractor beam is just like what? But that's like a ship, like that's cool. But still, even like how the way they have to contact everybody is so like basic.
Yes, yeah.
Like it's very like like SOS like.
But where's that ship technology when like they're going after the Death Star and shit? Like, why don't the fucking X-wings have anything cool? Like. I don't know. It was awesome, man. I really, really liked it.
Well, he even says like he's like everything I've gotten I've had to steal for everything from my enemies I use, like that's how I learn from them. So it's not like they have somebody who has this technology and they're the ones that are first using it because the Empire is everywhere.
So what are your hopes for season 2? Like what are you looking forward to the most?
I think it's really just like the cameos, to be honest, because we all know how the story ends, right? We all know it's going to lead up. Like in my head, like I know season 2 is going to end, and we're actually going to see Felicity Jones come back as Jyn. Like it's literally going to be that. Like it's going to be that like that ending scene in my head is going to be like the Rogue One, like first time that they meet.
Oh, really? See, I kind of figured the last scene you might see is when Andor kills that guy in the alleyway at the beginning of Rogue One. Like how he ends up there, the dude with the information about the pilot.
Oh yeah, I guess I could see that too, but I feel like
I want to see K2SO. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, he's coming.
How does he link, Like how do they meet? How does that all start?
Well, I mean, as we know, like the next season will be 12 episodes again, and every 3 episodes is a year. Either 3 or 4 episodes is a full year. So it's going to move a lot faster,
right,
compared to this season. So
yeah. So cool. I mean, we could talk about this a lot, but we still got some more news. So we're going to move on to another review or trailer and review, and that kind of go hand in hand. So
perfect.
We'll talk about the trailer first, then we'll do the review. So obviously today also dropped the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 trailer. So Justin, thoughts?
I feel like I've seen some of the, I saw like a bootleg version at San Diego Comic-Con, on like someone's phone. It gave me the feels. I feel like it was a different trail. It was definitely a different trailer, but this time around, man, finally getting to see like the Guardians in their like what's it like the
uniforms?
Like the what's it called? Conquests. Oh geez.
Annihilation Conquest.
The Annihilation Conquest like uniforms is pretty badass. Finally, like a newer group or an older Groot, Warlock.
Looks cool.
Look cool. Badass. High evolutionary. Cool. And then it looks like Rocket's he's gonna bite the bullet, man.
Yeah, dude, it totally looks like Rocket's fun.
I mean, what he's talking about, it's gonna be sad, man. It's definitely gonna be sad to see.
Yeah, it kind of sucks to see the era of Guardians of the Galaxy kind of be ending here. Maybe we'll see the characters in the future in different things. Who knows? Maybe we'll get another Guardians number 4, and who knows? But obviously James Gunn's time with Guardians is ending with this one. But yeah, dude, I thought it was cool. We always knew it was going to be part of the story was going to be very Rocket themed with High Evolutionary, hinting at his past and his creation and all that. We also already know that this is Drax's or Dave Bautista's last movie.
Yep.
He's done being Drax at this point. We're obviously going to see a lot about the Gamora storyline that will finally be finished from Endgame and where she's been, where she's going to be going moving forward. There was a screenshot of like all of the team walking together, and Gamora's a part of it. So hopefully, she's rejoining the team. So
yeah, that's the one thing that's kind of like throwing me off, because obviously we know that this version of Gamora isn't the same Gamora that grew got to know Peter almost a little bit romantically. Didn't get to know her sister with Nebula. So it's going to be an interesting like how she fits into this storyline.
Yeah.
Like she's going to have to go back to almost like Guardians of the Galaxy 1, like prior to like them really becoming a team, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It looks good, man. I'm excited. Summer 2023. Really looking forward to that movie. I mean,
Yeah,
Guardians has been one of the stronger franchises of the MCU for sure.
Oh yeah, and it's going to be James Gunn's probably last thing at Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Because he's going to be the Kevin Feige, I guess, over at DC. So, but there's there's a lot of people that are supposedly going to be in this movie, and they're talking about different things that are going to be coming out of this movie. I think Adam Warlock is great. And then we get to see maybe a newer team of the Guardians post this. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So following the trailer, we're going to do a quick review on the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special that just came out last week, right? On Friday.
Yeah, right after Turkey Day.
Man, loved it. I thought it was so awesome. What about you? Oh God,
no,
you hate comedy, man. I forgot. Dude.
No, man. I was actually going to take the flip side. I actually liked it a lot. I thought it was great. Like,
yeah,
it was the perfect like holiday thing to watch for 45, 50 minutes. Like it really revolves obviously around like Drax and Mantis. Like I thought it was perfect. I thought it was so funny how like they're trying to help Peter. Obviously they come to Earth and like people don't care. Like what the thing is too, it's like, for people kind of know like that California, like was it the Chinese theater, like where all the people are dressed up. Like that's all like people that live in California know that. I mean, I know it just from like movies and everything like that, but I think it's so funny that like that's literally what really happens. Like people just stand around, they take pictures, they get money, and then like just they go to Kevin Bacon's house. Like how weird is that? And I thought it was a great 45-minute, holiday special. I'll definitely watch it again.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of Chris Pratt, but that's fine because I'm sure he was probably, I don't know, filming the last Jurassic World that he was doing. But all the characters there, man. Like Rocket's in it for a little bit. Like Nebula plays her part. I was happy, man. I definitely thought it was a good 45-minute holiday special. I'll watch Hawkeye now because that is the holiday TV series for Disney Plus for me.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I actually enjoyed the fact that it was centered on Mantis and Drax, who kind of played just like backseat type characters previously in the Guardians type, universe. Even Nebula's had, I feel like, a bigger story arc than the two of them. So I liked that. I thought it was really fun. They have a great chemistry between the two of them as well. I did read an article that it wasn't always meant to happen before Guardians 3, and that they did this holiday special and James Gunn decided to put in some themes in this to already get you ready and prepared for Volume 3. And so like the two that stand out the most is obviously that the Guardians now kind of own nowhere, and it's kind of some like their headquarters, as well as the fact that they moved and they're actually showing that Mantis is Quill's half sister. So I thought it was good to actually, it wasn't just an all fun thing. It kind of also set up the story for the next one. I love Cosmo, the space dog.
I was waiting for that.
It's so great. I love Cosmo in the comics as well. And so I love to see that Cosmo's here, and I can't wait for more Cosmo in the next movie. I'm also, for those of you who don't know, I'm a massive Kevin Bacon fan. I one time competed in a contest. It's called Name That Bacon. And so they put out 5 clips of like just a still of a movie, and I had to name that Bacon film, and I got 5 out of 5, faster than everyone, and I won a pink Kevin Bacon shirt with his face from Footloose. It might be my favorite shirt in the world.
Interesting.
I love Kevin Bacon, dude. Like he's amazing.
Okay.
So I thought Kevin Bacon crushed it in this role. I thought that's super fun to have him come back and kind of do that, and it was a lot of fun, man. I hope they do more of these like specials like Werewolf by Night and these things. Like, I thought it was really cool.
They're perfect because they're a concise, quick story, right? It's nothing crazy. I feel like this cameo was a lot better than Megan Thee Stallion and She-Hulk.
Oh yes, God.
But I feel like this is something that we've learned about like throughout the Guardians history. Like we know he's always constantly mentioned Kevin Bacon. So I thought it was good. Like, and even like, Kevin Bacon, obviously as an actor, like I thought he was good as both himself and also, his role in this. So
Right.
I thought it was funny.
A lot of fun, a lot of great stuff in that. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a good little holiday show. So kind of an action-packed. I know we probably could have talked about some of these topics a little bit more, but we were trying to move through them because there was so much stuff that kind of came out today. That's kind of how it is sometimes. These Thursdays can get really big. And other times we got nothing, especially when we record on like Wednesdays,
Tuesday,
or something. So, but we're gonna round it out like we always do. Wrap it up with the what we are currently reading. Talking about books we liked or titles we're currently reading, whether they're new or old, and kind of just giving our opinion of them. So, Justin, you want to lead us off?
Yeah. So actually, I got one from each of the big three. Honorable mention this week, of course, being a fifth week. Typically, you get nothing, or you get annuals, right? That's usually the go-to for a fifth week of the month in a year. Usually, that's how they do it. For myself, honorable mention from DC, the Batgirls annual. Thought it was really well done. Of course, Becky Clone is still writing it. Art this month was done by Robbie Rodriguez, who, of course, fame of Spider-Gwen. No.
Robbie Rodriguez, the Ghost Rider.
Not that Ghost Rider. Not that Robbie Rodriguez. But no, it's a good story. It's pretty fun. It's obviously Batgirl and Stephanie Brown and Cassandra, and they kind of get somehow it's kind of like a Freaky Friday thing where their roles are reversed. They switch each other's body. The girls are great. I love this. I love this series. I think it's awesome, and it actually sets up what's going to happen next. Because obviously, within the annual, you see not only Lady Shiva come in, but of course, spoilers, Dad, Clue Master is also in there, and that's kind of where this next story is going. So, typically, and people always say this, like annuals suck, but sometimes the annuals do set up like the next story arc. So, I would say the Batgirls definitely helped out. Another honorable mention from the Marvel side, which I was really interested in, to be honest, this week. And I like this series, the X-Terminators, the girl team. We're going back to back girl series. Of course, Dazzler, Boom Boom, Jubilee, and X-23. The art on it is amazing. I talked about it the first time around. Like, I absolutely love the art. And then just the storyline itself, it's cool because you're reading it, right?
Oh yeah.
So how like it's presently, but for the most part, they're actually telling a story to the X-Council, and I don't know too much about that,
the Quiet
right?
Council, yeah.
The Quiet Council over on the Krakoa. So like they're telling the story of like what's going on, but then all of a sudden, like it'll go back to that part, like what's going on in the story, and then they'll switch back and forth. And I don't know, man, this issue got a little like graphic with like for the girls,
Get a
right?
little sexual, yeah.
A little sexual, like a lot of things, like like Jubilee talking about like Boom Boom's boobs and like
Dazzler's ass.
Yeah, and Dazzler's ass, and you're like, okay, and I guess like Boom Boom like literally just stripping and like doing her mutant abilities, like what?
Yeah, it was wild.
But yeah, man, I like this series a lot. Like I like the girls have a really good connection. They've it's pretty awesome. So I'm really enjoying this. Is again my honorable mention, but last but not least, and Zach, you're probably gonna have to pick this up if you have not picked it up. From Image Comics, Plush. Do you know about this?
I saw it, but yes,
okay.
No. Okay.
So the only reason why I know about this series is because I watched the return of Newbie Comics on Tuesday, and he talked about this and knew nothing really about it, but other than it's a number one. So, of course, it's from Image Comics. It's horror, it's fantasy, and you'll actually like this. So, of course, I like reading synopsis for books that nobody knows anything about. So, serial killing cannibalistic furries from plastic and vinyl creator Doug Wagner.
Yeah. I loved vinyl.
So then there you go. Yeah. You're going to have to read this. So they're back. So obviously the writer and artist from that is back. This time they recruited colorist Rico Renza in this disturbing neo-horror spin on futuristic psychopaths and bizarre love. In Plush, Devin Folder is coerced into attending his first furry convention. When he accidentally happens upon a group of furries devouring humans, the insanity begins. Do they just want Devin for dinner or something much more wicked? So, it's pretty crazy. So this guy Devin is, his friend invites him to a furry convention. He doesn't have a costume. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, man." He's like, "I got an extra one," because who doesn't have just one furry?
Right.
And he goes and he kind of gets left alone. And all of a sudden, like, he walks out into like the parking lot, and there's like these three guys in the furry costumes, or three people in furry costumes, like eating somebody. And he's freaking out because not only was he like roofied from his friend, he gets arrested, and nobody believes him. Like, because obviously he was like off his, he was on meds and whatever. So, but art's great. Colors are great. Obviously, you read vinyl just like I did, because I bought it off of you once you got rid of it and sold it. So, yeah, man, Doug Wagner and Daniel Hilliard are pretty badass. So
they go hard, man. They go hard.
Yeah. So if you have never read Plastic, you've never read vinyl, here's a great chance to pick up something that's just as crazy. And I mean, I'm not into furries, but you mix like these furry people that dress up as furries and cannibalistic, like, what's going on? Okay. You kind of enticed me. So, like, pick of the week, man, plush #1 from Image Comics.
Yeah. Nice.
So,
I will check that out for sure.
Yeah. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be a mini series just like the other ones. So, definitely go out and check it out from Image. So, what about you, man? What are you reading?
So, like Justin said, light week this week. Nothing really stood out to me as like an amazing read, but the one that I was pretty excited for to read was the Avengers Assemble #1 alpha issue, which is kind of kicking off this last little event of Jason Aaron's run on Avengers and the Avengers Forever, and kind of merging the two stories. So I was pretty excited to read that, because I've been reading all those Avengers titles. So Avengers Assemble #1 alpha was pretty good, starting it all off. But I have more of a hot garbage to talk about. So,
ooh, we have hot garbage. I haven't had that in a while.
Let me preface this. Okay, this is tricky because I don't want. Obviously, I never really pull my punches at all, but I've oftentimes spoken ill of my thoughts on Whatnot and the things behind Whatnot and the way things go with Whatnot. Right. So, I this could be tricky for anyone to actually take my opinion, uncolored, but I'm trying to give you an honest opinion of someone who reads a lot of comics on a title, and I'm trying to be fair about it. So I picked up Ninja Funk #1, and honestly was completely unreadable. It just, I don't even know what to do or to describe about it. Didn't make any sense. The storyline was all over the place. It was gratuitous, like narcissism, in my opinion, on like you're not seeing me do air quotes, but the writers making themselves characters in the book. There was a cat that said cliche, stupid sayings that are outdated, I feel like, at this point. And then there was constant talk about pooping on things, and an actual cat pooping on things. So it was just like dumb. And I guess what bugs me, like, yeah, write a dumb comic book, that's fine, whatever. But I guess what bugs me about it, and why I really want to talk about it so much as hot garbage, is because the hype train, like, revolving around Ninja Funk #1 is insanity. Them Whatnot putting it out as being like this highest sold, or so many orders made of a comic that is returnable by LCSs, correct? Like, so
I believe so.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be 100% returnable, and then incentive variants and variants after variants and covers and exclusives after everything.
And trading cards.
On this unreadable title, like garbage. Then you get to the back of the book, and it's just like, to take the term, or to take the theme that they used in their book, which was poop. Okay. So a theme of their book was literal poop shit. That's what this book is, except they decorate it in issue 2 with like, oh, check out the Boss Logic title or cover, and like all these legitimate, really good artists as like cover artists on a garbage book. I thought it was horrible. And
so what you're saying is you don't want to do a Comic-Con podcast variant cover for #2?
Fuck no, dude. I mean, and it's not even against Whatnot. I wouldn't do that title. Like, if they come up with another title that's decent, sure. That title is garbage. I wouldn't want anything to be associated with that. And I also posted last night. They had posted a post on Whatnot Publishing about their new title coming out, Exiled, which once again they're starting the hype train on, which might be good because actually Wesley Snipes is, part of it. So hopefully that brings something good to it. But I posted on their post, I hope this book is better than Ninja Funk because that shit was unreadable. And within minutes, they deleted my comment. So like, I just don't trust shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, bro, take the criticism. Your book fucking sucked. I don't know what to tell you. There's a stack, and I'm going to post a picture tomorrow, which is, tomorrow's Friday. So you'll see it as you're listening to this. If you check out my Instagram, I will post a stack of Ninja Funk comics that are still at the LCS 3 weeks later. Justin, did you read this book?
No, I don't care. I don't care to read alpha betas. I don't care to read Ninja Funk. I've seen screenshots. I've seen the interiors. It just is, like you said, the pooping of the cat, and I'm a cat guy. Like that was just, whatever. I'm a cat guy, and I don't even want to read this thing about a cat pooping and being a character. Exiled, I really couldn't care less. So again, nothing. Yeah, I'll try. Maybe I'll try Exiled, but like I don't think attaching like a big name actor, actress to a book is ever like a good thing.
Right.
Like it doesn't ever.
Let's be honest. Wesley Snipes probably isn't doing a lot of the writing. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, even like when Berserker came out, like the hype between, because they were like, oh, well, Keanu Reeves is going to be Berserker when we come out with like a TV or movie or whatever. Right. I'm like, oh, okay. But that never sells me on it.
That was an average book. I mean, it's average.
It's kind of gone by the wayside. Like It was amazing. Like everybody wanted it because they all wanted that like 1 in 1,000 like signed copy and like get it sent. It was sent to CGC like and everything. Okay, that's great. And obviously the same thing with like Exiled. There's like if you order, I don't know, 500 or 1,000 copies, you can get the first one signed by him. He's like, to me, like I would rather have a Blade comic that's signed by Wesley Snipes than the Exiled one.
Yeah. And look, man,
White Man Can't Jump. I don't know if there's a comic for that, but
I'm not trying to be a dick on, what comic book reader or person in the comic book community wouldn't like to write their own comic. Okay. Give me, I'll be honest there. So like, I think it's awesome they tried. I think it's awesome they put it themselves out there and they wrote it. But at the same time, man, you put your work out there and this is what we do. And it was not good. So back to the drawing board, I guess. I don't know. Quit selling it like it's the next it thing because it's not. But anyway, that's my Ninja Funk rant on that book. I will never purchase. I will never purchase a copy of that book.
Well, other than hot garbage, what else you got?
A bunch, right?
What's up?
I know someone offered to send you a bunch of an exclusive.
Yeah, it was our Comic-Con exclusive / Nerdy Girl.
Yeah.
Exclusive that I posted on my Instagram. Yeah. And it's pretty funny. She was actually on a YouTube channel and she was talking about it and she didn't call me out by name, but she was like, oh, some people. And I'm like, Danielle, just call me out. Just say it was Nemesis Prime. It's okay. It's not going to hurt you. It's like,
yeah, we use your name.
I know. So,
no, that my pick of the week was Avengers Assemble.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I know it was a rough week. It was tough to like find anything, but even like it just happens. Like I would have never picked up Plush if it wasn't for Newbie Comics. So surprising, the Canadian helped out for a change.
I did just receive Extreme X-Men Omnibus Volume 1 in the mail like last week, and I'm pretty excited to read that here soon. Reread that. But,
nice. I'm waiting for my Dr. Aphra Omnibus. Volume
1. The new one.
The Volume 1.
Yeah. I saw that.
Excited for that too. So,
well, everybody, thanks for listening. Beginning of December, last month of season 2 of the Comic-Con podcast, last month of the year. Yeah, man, holidays coming up. Things are going to be a little bit crazier with us, but we will be doing an end of the year recap like we did last year, talking about favorite storylines, what else did we do? Arcs,
miniseries, bunch of things,
topics, right?
Yeah, we may even switch it up a little bit, add something to remove something. Who knows? That's
a good example on the Comic-Con podcast promo for this video or wherever you can find us. Maybe throw some ideas if you want anything, any of our categories for end of the year recaps. There's something you want to hear, or send us a voicemail, email, message, whatever.
Yeah, drop it in the IGs, people, or to our emails. You know what's up.
Yep. So that's it, everybody. We're wrapping up. Thanks for listening again, and really appreciate you guys.